Greetings, Guardians. The Hijabi Gamer here. And yes, I finally did it. It was a long time, it wasn't easy, but I finally earned the Platinum Trophy in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Blood, sweat, and tears. But it's there. And I figured, since I finally earned this Platinum Trophy, and because I have the Platinum Trophy for Borderlands 3 on PlayStation 4, and I've been playing the other Borderlands games, I figured I'm in a really good position to actually review this game. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have any gameplay footage to show you while reviewing this game because I hated it so much that I immediately uninstalled it from my PlayStation 5 and replaced it with Anthem. Yeah. It's that bad. It also fills me with dread at the thoughts of the state of Borderlands 4 after having played this. Because, you see, I'm excited for Borderlands 4, but I'm also full of pure dread at the thought of the state of the game. I want it to be good, I really do, but having played this, I have serious doubts. Because, you see, you have to keep in mind that Tiny Tina's Wonderland came out after Borderlands 3. And it's worse. Oh, it is so much worse than Borderlands 3. Where should I begin? Let's start with the story, because that's one of the things that everyone criticized Borderlands 3 for. Even Angry Joe. So you can't be like, oh, well, even it's only the anti-woke people who didn't like the story from Borderlands 3. No, it was universally panned. Everyone loved the gameplay for Borderlands 3, the gunplay, the guns, everything about Borderlands 3. Except the story. And I'm telling you, Tiny Tina's Wonderland story is actually worse. I think a lot of people don't really talk about it because not a lot of people played Tiny Tina's Wonderlands after the disaster that was Borderlands 3. It's bad. Don't get me wrong, I like Tiny Tina. Let's be clear about that. I actually really like Tiny Tina, especially in Borderlands 2. I really liked her. But I think it was Angry Joe who pointed out that she's great in snippets. Too much Tiny Tina gets overwhelming. She should not be the main character in an entire video game. And my understanding is this was originally meant to be DLC. I also understand that Dragon Keep for Borderlands 2 is very, very good. I haven't played it, but I've heard it is phenomenal. This is not Dragon's Keep. And it's not written by the same person, and it definitely shows. One big problem is this does not come across as Tiny Tina. Okay, I'm no expert on Tiny Tina, but honestly, the narrator in this does not sound like Tiny Tina. And it's not like it's a teenage version of Tiny Tina. It really feels like and I'm sorry, but I'm going to just say a woke libtard who spends all their time on Twitter and TikTok is trying to pretend, like trying to write a child and doing a very, very bad job of it. And don't get me wrong, Tiny Tina is not your typical child, but she's not a woke libtard who spends all their time on Twitter and TikTok. And it definitely shows. The writing is... Not only is the writing bad, it's needlessly wordy. A good writer, it takes more skill to say more with less words. This is just paragraph after paragraph after paragraph of dialogue, and it's... You look at it and you wonder, did this guy who wrote this get paid by the word? Because it definitely feels like it. And while you can mute the dialogue, you can't skip it. You see, I didn't want to miss the story, but I wanted to mute it. So my idea was to mute the dialogue, and I always have subtitles on, and then fast forward through the subtitles because I can read faster than the voice actors. No, you can't do that. Those sadistic monsters did not make it possible. So, you just stand there. Because sometimes, you can't continue a quest without them finishing their whole monologue that does not end. It doesn't sound like Tiny Tina. And there's a lot of that. Skillup put it in his video about Dragon Age the Veilguard. Therapy talk. That's why I said this does not sound like Tiny Tina. This doesn't sound like a child. This sounds like a woke libtard talking on TikTok. That's how it sounds. It is intolerably bad. I absolutely hated it. And you see, this fills me with dread at the thought of Borderlands 4 because, you see, the person who wrote Borderlands 3, the game that was universally panned for its writing. Yeah, his name is Sam Winkler. I actually made a video about this. Sam Winkler wrote Borderlands 3. He wrote because, Randy Pitchford didn't think, oh, everyone hated the writing for Borderlands 3. How about we get the same guy who wrote Borderlands 3 to write Tiny Tina's Wonderland? Because genius. Yeah, Sam Winkler wrote Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. And instead of going, yeah, even Angry Joe didn't like the writing for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, so it isn't just the anti-woke who didn't like Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Everyone hated Tiny Tina's Wonderlands writing. You know what Randy Pitchford did? He didn't fire Sam. He didn't maybe demote him, move him to an entirely different department. Hey, Sam, how about we put you in charge of inventory in the basement, Habibi, because you can't write? No, they told him to write Borderlands 4. So, yes, the person who wrote Borderlands 3 and Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is writing Borderlands 4. And then are you surprised? I'm like full of existential dread at the thought of Borderlands 4. This writing is just... I like Tiny Tina. Why did you do this to me? I really liked Tiny Tina. So the writing is bad, okay? You can mute it. Okay, so if you mute the writing, right, and you deal with the fact that you can't skip it, what is Borderlands games known for? The gunplay and the guns. So, since this came out after Borderlands 3, it must be better, right? No, absolutely not. Now, don't get me wrong, the added customization is pretty cool. The ability to basically create your own character is pretty cool. Don't get me wrong, that's a lot of people really like that. I don't mind playing as a Vault Hunter. It's not a problem for me, but I get why people like this added build and customization options. However, this game is so insanely, ridiculously, stupidly easy, I want to bang my head against something. Now, you're thinking, oh, but Kat, what about the chaos levels? Yeah, I get that. Those actually add some difficulty to the game. The problem is the chaos levels are locked behind the campaign. You have to finish the campaign first before you can do the chaos levels, which add difficulty. I finished the entire campaign on intense difficulty. The majority of it, I think all of it on PlayStation. I think I only played with people on Xbox. So no, I'm pretty sure I soloed everything, right? I did it solo on intense difficulty, which is hard, and it was incredibly easy. Now, the best example is, when I first started playing first-person shooters, the first first-person shooter I ever played was Halo Combat Evolved. I had never played an FPS game before that, so, not knowing what I'm doing, I played it the first time on easy. Then I upped the difficulty and played it again, okay? Halo on easy is harder than this on hard. The final boss, the Dungeon Lord, I died once when I fought him. Okay? And that is because he blew me off the map. And I didn't know at the time that he could blow you off the map, because you don't always get blown off the map. There are areas where there are boundaries. So it didn't even occur to me that he could blow you off the map, because this game is so stupidly easy. Impressively so. On top of that, ammo. Okay, ammo. Ammo is in a ridiculous abundance. You are never going to run out of ammo, okay? You will never need to go to a vending machine to buy ammo. You'd think that part of the game is, juggling different weapons, making sure you have enough ammo, because as Marcus put it, ammo. Without it, you're just a schmuck with a paperweight, right? You're never a schmuck with a paperweight in this game. Borderlands 3, I have run out of ammo. I've had to go to vending machines and buy ammo. And I have maxed out my carry capacity. Even before I maxed out my carry capacity in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, I can tell you I never ran out of ammo. Never. Not a single time. Not even with sniper rifles and shotguns. There is so much ammo everywhere. You're never going to run out, okay? Period. Now, it might change if you go on higher chaos levels. I made it up to chaos level 20 because that's what I needed for the trophy. So maybe it's different when you get higher up, but I'm telling you, up to chaos level 20, you never run out of ammo. On top of that, in the campaign, you never do. And that you have to do. You cannot... So chaos levels are sort of like mayhem mode, only worse. I'll get into that later. And you have to complete the campaign, so it's just too easy. On top of that, there is definitely aim assist in this game. Now, I turned it off. One of the first things I do whenever I play a video game that's a shooter, I look for aim assist, because at this point I have learned that it is by default turned on, and I hate it. I play far worse with aim assist. I feel like it eliminates some of the challenge, and if you rely on it too much, your ability to play goes down, and it shows. You feel it. So I immediately turned off the aim assist on this game. And I can tell you, I didn't notice it initially, but then after I finished this game, which I'd been playing for like 3 weeks straight, I went back to Borderlands 3, and I noticed that my ability to aim, I'd relied so much on the aim assist in Tiny Tina's Wonderland, I was having difficulty aiming in Borderlands 3. It takes you a couple of hours to get back to normal, but there's definitely aim assist. I mean, the other way to put it is this. Near the end of my earning this last trophy, I finally switched up my controller setup so that I needed to do melee a lot. So I did not have the ability to aim down sights. All right? And yet, even though I was shooting enemies using SMGs, shotguns, auto rifles, you name it, I was not aiming down sight, and I was getting critical hits. I did not miss ever without aiming down sight. Okay? There is aim assist. Even when you turn it off, at least on console, there is a ridiculously strong aim assist. So that ruins also the gameplay. Because when it is ridiculously easy and you have aim assist, you give us the option to turn it off, but clearly you can't completely turn it off. And I don't like it. Like I said, I notice that you start to rely on it, and then your ability to aim in other games suffers for it. I've noticed it in Destiny as well. So the gameplay is definitely worse. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are cool guns in it. The added melee, all of that is cool, but using them is a problem, okay? They've also removed quality of life features that are available in Borderlands 3. One in particular that stands out and to me is extremely important because it would have made everything so much easier is something that a lot of people actually don't know about in Borderlands 3. And that is what is called auto-sell, all right? The moment I discovered this, because nobody had told me about this, I discovered this entirely by chance, okay? It's under options and it's under gameplay. And it's right over here. It's called auto sell rarity. What it means is you pick a level of rarity. So for me, I have it set at rare, so blue. And as I'm playing the game, any weapon I pick up that is blue, green, or white automatically sells. It doesn't go into my carry, it doesn't go into my backpack. I don't have to go around to vendors to sell stuff. It automatically sells it for me and gives me the money for the sale, okay? This makes things so much easier. Before I knew about this, I was picking everything up and taking it to vendors and selling it because I'm a hoarder, okay? And I want as much gold as possible. Well, bucks, whatever. I can't remember what it's called in Borderlands 3. I never really paid attention to that. Okay? This does not exist in Tiny Tina's Wonderland. I have lost thousands in gold because... yeah. I'll go into it because of the DLC. Because you can't... even when you maximize your carry capacity, which is 70, you will run out. And it's a problem. And you need a lot of gold in this game to earn trophies. Why isn't this there? It would make life so much easier. Why did they remove this from Tiny Tina's Wonderland? And this is, again, a game that came out after. Another thing I feel that is a downgrade is the cosmetics in this game. Now, if you know anything about me, I'm not really a big cosmetic person. I will flat out admit it. I've never bought a single cosmetic armor set in Destiny 2. I've never bought it, okay? The thing is, in Borderlands 3, and that's why when people are criticizing Borderlands 4 over the cost, I get it. I don't want to spend $80 for this game, for Borderlands 4. That's a bit much. However, if Borderlands 4 follows the model of Borderlands 3, it's not that bad. because there are no microtransactions in Borderlands 3. You cannot buy cosmetics. As far as I can tell, correct me if I'm wrong, the only thing I have ever bought for Borderlands 3 are the DLCs or the season passes. Every single one of my cosmetics I have earned in-game. So if they're asking me for whatever, and I'll pay for the DLC. Because they're not getting microtransactions. Even the skeleton keys, the shift codes, they are so many of them online that I've never paid for a shift code. I don't even think you can. Let me know in the comments, can you actually pay for a shift code? Because I have never paid for a shift code. The cosmetics in this game, though, in Borderlands 3, are free, and they are so much better than Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Now, I tried going into the cosmetic. Don't get me wrong, you have the character customization at the beginning, but I mean, look at this, all right? This is Borderlands 3. None of this I paid for, okay? None of it. No, I paid nothing. I earned all of this in-game, okay? Look at the echo theme. Some of them are actually really, really cool. I've spent nothing. Now, on the other hand, with Tiny Tina's Wonderland, and unfortunately I can't show you, I would try and modify my character in-game, and I'd be like, what is different? It looks identical. I think you can change your banner. I'd be looking and be like, oh, there's stripes on the armor instead of diamonds on the armor. The difference is minuscule. Whereas this, you have so much creative variety. Like, just so much of it, and you don't pay for it. One of my favorite things, cosmetic-wise, and the only one I really like is, and you can see it jangling and hanging from the top of my gun, it's the weapon trinkets. There are so many weapon trinkets. So I have 17 out of the 50, and as far as I can tell, every single one of them you can earn in-game. I don't believe I've ever seen... Now, again, correct me if I'm wrong. As I said, I've never paid for cosmetics in this game. And even if there are payable cosmetics for this game, I would say it's a tiny fraction of the amount of stuff that you can just flat out earn. Now, you can earn a lot of cosmetics in Tiny Tina's Wonderland, but the difference, like I said, it's like the difference between plaid and stripes on armor that is basically color variance is almost just, it looks really, really bad. So I feel like the quality of life and just the game itself, it feels like they abandoned Tiny Tina's Wonderland before they abandoned Borderlands 3. Because whatever you might say about the story, there's a lot of good stuff in Borderlands 3. They even added seasonal stuff. I remember seeing the hearts and the skulls for the Halloween. I feel like they abandoned Tiny Tina's before Borderlands 3. There was at one point, Randy Pitchford actually posted on X, and I responded. I doubt he saw my response. Randy, he was asking, he had noticed that the play time for Borderlands 3 was higher than Borderlands 2. I would say that, and my response was this, that the Borderlands 3, again, the big problem people had with Borderlands 3 was the story. It wasn't the game itself. The gameplay, they added a lot of improvements from Borderlands 2 to Borderlands 3. One of my favorites is just the auto loot, where you don't have to pick up, it's a lot easier to loot in Borderlands 3. And then there's the auto sell. And then there's the end game. So there's a lot of added stuff to Borderlands 3. The story absolutely sucks. So I can see that more people got into Borderlands through Borderlands 3, hated the story. I think one of the reasons we don't see as much criticism of Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is because a lot less people played it. I could be wrong, but people got burned on Borderlands 3 and immediately went, yeah, I'm not playing Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Okay? Just not worth it. I said, between the downgrading gameplay, the downgraded story, the fact that Borderlands 3's writing was so abysmal. But honestly, while I did immediately uninstall Tiny Tina's Wonderland, I'm going to uninstall the PS4 version once I finish all the trophies for the PS4 version, and I'm going to keep the PS5 version on my PS5. I'm going to keep playing Borderlands 3. Hell, I don't even mind playing it on PC on my Steam Deck. It's, again, the story's abysmal, but the gameplay's fun. The guns are fun. I absolutely love the guns. Now, the DLC for Tiny Tina's Wonderland is a crime. Now, I liked the DLC for Borderlands 3. It's actual DLC. As I said, one of the things with Borderlands 3 is there are no microtransactions. So, and the DLC, I know a lot of people didn't like Moxie's Heist of the Handsome Jackpot. I like Handsome Jack, so I really liked it. I wasn't a big fan of Guns, Love, and Tentacles, which I just finished again. So I did it on the PS5 version, now I did it on the PS4 version. I have some trophies I need to go back and earn. I'm just not a fan of romance, and honestly, hearing him constantly whine about, am I good enough for my weenie? Dude, I don't care. I'm here to kill monsters, all right? Shut up about your wedding, okay? I'm not a, like I said, I'm not a romance person, okay? So, hearing the two of them go whining about how are they good enough for each other, you're fine, okay? You're fine. The two of you are, you deserve each other at this point, okay? You're so annoying. I miss just that, anyway. And why is Hammerlock's glasses still broken? I get it, it's his thing, but at this point, come on, dude. I haven't yet finished Bounty of Blood. I played Psycho Krieg and the Fantastic Fustercluck on the PS5 version. I really liked that one. But it's real DLC. It takes hours to finish. It's worth every cent. I cannot say the same thing for Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Now, I looked up the price on the Epic Game Store to find out what the price is, because I wanted to know what you were paying for this garbage. And it's not worth it. So you shouldn't be paying more than $5 for this. The best way to show you just how bad it is with the trophies. You have complete best chums, and then defeat chums the old god at their highest difficulty level. They're all the same thing. 2 trophies, defeat this, complete this, and then defeat that. So basically, each one of the DLC is a short, like, quest that ends with a boss. Now, as I said, this isn't worth more than $5. I looked it up on the Epic Game Store. $10 each. That is overpriced garbage for a short quest and a boss. And then the boss is added to the Chaos Dungeon. Okay? One big problem also is there are no vending machines in the entire quest. And if you leave, you have to start over again. So you're leaving thousands of gold worth of weapons on the ground because you will run out of space. And, well, you know, you'll fill up your loot, your lost loot, and then you'll lose thousands, which is a big problem when I get into the trophies. It's not worth it. It is so not worth it. As you said, it says here, defeat Imelda the Sandwich at their highest difficulty level. That's 4. It's 4. And then they add her to the Chaos Dungeon. So the Chaos Dungeon is the end game. I said this is just cheap. It is so cheap. There's real DLC for Borderlands 3. This is, like I said, a cheap, stupid mission and a boss. And then it's added to the Chaos Dungeon, which is the game, which is the end game and the only real end game. And oh my god, I have done so many of those things to get the final trophy. They're boring. Now, as I said, I only did it up to level 20 because I wanted to get rid of this game ASAP. My understanding is you could go all the way up to level 100, so it's probably different the higher up you go. But up to level 20, you're either being hounded, like hoarded on by a lot of enemies at once, or there's not enough. And a lot of the time, you're running all over the place trying to find enemies. Flat out, I remember just running all over the place trying to find enemies. And one of the secondary challenges for some of these missions is time limit. So there's not enough enemies most of the time. Now again, maybe it gets more as you go up in chaos levels. But when I was doing it, there was not enough enemies. You will run out of space in your backpack. And of course, there are no vending machines. So you're leaving again thousands in gold all over the floor. And then you have a boss at the end. Or it depends. Like I said, there are different options, but really it's just the same enemies. It gets really, really tedious. It's not good endgame. As I said, it feels like... Now, as I said, I understand this was originally a DLC that they turned into a game. But it feels like they abandoned this game before they abandoned Borderlands 3. Borderlands 3 just feels bigger, beefier, and more complete. This feels like it was abandoned. And I mean, I don't know what the sales figures are, but I wouldn't be surprised if the only reason this game, if it sold more than Borderlands 3, which I doubt, but if it did, it's because it's been on sale more often than Borderlands 3. And I wouldn't be surprised if Borderlands 3 had more initial sales than this, because I have no doubt people were burned by Borderlands 3 and were like, yeah, I'm not playing this. On top of that, Borderlands 3 carries the Borderlands name, whereas Tiny Tina's Wonderland, a lot of people don't know who Tiny Tina is. Excuse me. So the end game was tedious and boring, and that brings me to what took me so long beating it, and why leaving so much loot on the ground was a problem, and not having an auto sell feature. So I have no doubt this trophy was added to expand the game, needlessly bloat up the game. So there's one trophy in this that is a nightmare to earn, and that is called where is it? Mule Character. Purchase every inventory upgrade. This was a major pain in the butt, because first off, it is ridiculously expensive. Purchasing every inventory upgrade here definitely costs more than Borderlands 3. I think the next one, I'm almost done unlocking it in Borderlands 3 right now on PS4, and I think it's like 4 million and then 5 million. On top of that, in Borderlands 3, you earn more gold when you sell weapons, and you have the auto sell feature. So with this, I'm telling you, even an epic weapon, when you resell it, I think the max I've ever gotten was like 50,000, and the majority of the stuff you're going between 10 and 20,000. You're leaving so much loot on the ground, because there are areas where there's, like I said, the DLC. You go through the DLC, there's no vending machines. You go through the Chaos Dungeon, there is no vending machines. So it's whatever you can carry and whatever ends up in your lost loot. After that, it's gone. And I'm telling you, I definitely lost thousands. Now, I did this by running Chaos Dungeons. I could, on average, I even noticed with the Chaos Dungeons, now again, it might be different the higher up you go, but I even noticed with the Chaos Dungeons, the higher Chaos Dungeon level I did, it did not increase the amount of gold I got. So I went 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I did it on live stream, where I did the math, where I did, how much millions I got, divided it by the time, and it varied. But it was basically between 2 million, 1.5 million, and then I perfected it and figured out, I picked up what's called the Goblin Pickaxe. Once I got the Goblin Pickaxe, it helped a lot. So the Goblin Pickaxe is an epic melee weapon, and that's why I changed my controllers, so that I could just constantly melee. So the Goblin Pickaxe, every time you hit an enemy, drops gold. It's less than at least at the levels I was doing, it was between 600 and 800 gold. And that helped a lot. So it increased the amount of gold I got from between 2 million to 2.5 to between 2.5 million to 3 million. But even without the Goblin Pickaxe, like I said, the best way is to show you in Borderlands 3 how much gold you can get per weapon that you sell by showing you the weapons I have. All right. I have right here, this weapon here, it's a pistol. It is epic. 120,000. Okay. 77,000. 157,000. Okay. I'm at 99 million gold. Well, gold, whatever it is, cash, bucks in this game. I keep forgetting what it's called. So not only in Borderlands 3 does it take less money to unlock the upgrades, okay, you earn more money and you have the auto sell feature. Whereas in Tiny Tina's Wonderland, you earn a lot less gold. And I checked with people online, because I thought, I really wasn't focusing on my build. Maybe it was just I wasn't killing enough stuff fast enough. No. The majority of the people's recommendations were to grind certain bosses or to basically loot the overworld. Basically, they're like, pick an area in the overworld where there's a bunch of chests, raise it to like chaos level 20, and then go around the map collecting the gold from the chest, go back to your destination so it refreshes, then go back to the overworld, go around in that same pattern, go back, and I was not going to do that because as much as I was desperate for gold and as boring as the chaos dungeons were, that was even more boring. Absolutely. So the end game, like I said, this game feels abandoned. It feels neglected. It feels like they did not care. Whereas Borderlands 3, again, the story was garbage, but there's more attention to it. I mean, the fact that my understanding is they made it up to Mayhem level 10 and they added Mayhem level 11 because people were complaining about all of the modifiers in the Mayhem level. So you got more and more modifiers the higher your Mayhem level. Mayhem level 11 is basically Mayhem level 10 without all the modifiers, which those spinny things can get very, very annoying. So you get Mayhem level 10 loot at Mayhem level 11, whereas there's no like Chaos level 10 loot. You can get chaotic weapons, but there's no like chaotic 10, okay? So it's basically down to your build and chaotic weapons. It really, I said, the worst thing for this whole game was the end game and that trophy that just, you need over 300 million gold to get that trophy. I would have probably had more positive things to say. I mean, again, it wouldn't fix the gameplay, it wouldn't fix the gunplay, it wouldn't fix the story, but it wouldn't be as bitter a taste if the end game wasn't so bad with the dungeons. And because the chaos levels are good. I like the chaos levels because this game is easy. You need the chaos levels. Without it, it's just too easy. So the chaos levels are good. It's not as good as Mayhem levels, but it's still good. And that trophy. Other good things I would say, though, about the game is the settings. The environments are pretty cool. Some of them are pretty cool. Not all of them, but some of them are pretty cool. I really, as someone who likes, like, post-apocalyptic and just ancient archaeological stuff, I loved the level that was like an ancient Egyptian village that everyone was dead in. That was pretty cool. I like that wall. I feel like there's not enough enemy variety, too. The majority of the time is just skeletons, different types of skeletons. I feel like there's not enough enemy variety in the game either. That there's more enemy variety in Borderlands 3. I mean, that's one of the things I don't know how they're going to succeed with Borderlands 4. Because Tiny Tina's Wonderland feels small, and while there is some variety in the world, it still feels small in comparison to Borderlands 3. Maybe because Borderlands 3 has that epic planets all over the place feeling, but I feel like there's more enemy types in Borderlands 3 and there's more environments in Borderlands 3 than Tiny Tina's Wonderland. It feels small and the environments feel small and they're creative. I said I really liked the ancient city. I liked that wall one in particular. But it just feels small, and now they're saying that Borderlands 4 is going to be on one planet, and I don't know how it can reach the level that Borderlands 3 is. Like I said, I uninstalled Tiny Tina's Wonderland immediately. I will not be installing it again. I do have it on PC. I have a couple of hours in it. I might put a Steam review up and mention that I have the Platinum on PlayStation, but I'm definitely uninstalling it. I think I have it on my Steam Deck. I'm definitely uninstalling it and never touching this game again. Whereas Borderlands 3, I would put it on my Steam Deck and play it. I don't mind the fact that I have the Borderlands. See, I have it right over here. I have the Borderlands 4, not the Borderlands 3 on PS4. I have the Platinum Trophy, and I'm at 60%. And then I have down here Borderlands 3 on PlayStation 5, and I don't have the Platinum. And I don't mind doing it twice because, again, the story's bad. You can listen to podcasts, just listen to other stuff. The gameplay is fun. The game itself is fun. And I could see people playing more Borderlands 3 just because of that. Anyway, those are my thoughts on this game. Long, rambly video. I said, it's also because, by the way, of Hypnotic, Real Hypnotic. Shout out to Real Hypnotic. It's his fault. Talking about completing games. Seriously, if there's a gamer that I strive to be more like, it would be Hypnotic. keep in mind, I'm not going to be playing as much variety as he does. There are certain games that I will never touch, like RTS games, cozy games, but he has pushed me unintentionally to complete more games, and that's why I'm on a platinum trophy like quest. So one of the games I've been going through all of the stuff that I have starters for platinum trophies and seeing which one's first off that I'm almost or close to getting. I also have whole series that I want to complete, so like the Doom series, the Borderlands series. I don't have the platinum for Remnant and Remnant 2, and I absolutely love Remnant and Remnant 2. I beat it on Xbox, but I haven't beat it here. There's Anthem actually is on my list because I know they're going, as much as I don't want them to, look, Anthem isn't great, but I don't want them to remove it either. Sadly. I would rather they have an offline mode, but hey. So I've been going through all of the games I have and seeing which ones I need to get the platinum trophy, and it's basically real hypnotic. He's been pushing me unintentionally to try and complete more games and get the platinum. See, I'm at 53% for Anthem, so I just installed it. I have it on physical right here. The disc is in the PS5, so that's on my list of stuff to play. The funny thing is, let me just finish this with, a lot of people were unaware that Anthem was still playable. I've known it for years because I recently played it, because my goal was to play it on the launch date of Dragon Age the Veilguard. I didn't, but I did play it before Dragon Age the Veilguard came out, so I knew the game was up and running. And I know there are people who really like the game. I was very disappointed that they didn't do Anthem 2.0. I saw a lot of potential in the game. I felt like the weapon bar. Anyway, I won't go into it. When I finish the platinum, I'll do a review of Anthem. Anyway, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I hope to see you in the tower.